chaos in Hong Kong continued on Monday with more flights cancelled and further protests on the streets. But what are the economic implications of the ongoing civil unrest gripping the city? Also on the show, with a host of new tariffs on Chinese goods set to take effect in early September, has the trade war entered a critical stage? I'm Zhong Shi in for Liu Xin today. Welcome to The Point. As flights continue to be cancelled at Hong Kong's airport for a second day amid protests, the city is bracing itself for an economic recession. 41 real estate developers issued a joint statement on Tuesday condemning the violence and voicing their concerns over the impact on the normally robust economy. Chief Executive of Hong Kong SAR, Carrie Lam, warned protesters their actions are pushing Hong Kong into an abyss. Just how real is the prospect of a recession, and what could be the long-term impact on both Hong Kong and the mainland? Joining the discussion from Hong Kong, Henry Ho, founder and chairman of the One Country, Two Systems Youth Forum, and here with me in our Beijing studio, Liu Baocheng, director of the Center for International Business Ethics at the University of International Business and Economics. Welcome to you both, gentlemen. I want to start with the latest at the Hong Kong airport, where the ongoing protest and unrest has severely disrupted its normal order and operations. This is one of the busiest airports in the world, handling over 1,000 flights a day to 200 destinations. And when you disrupt the order of an airport, you are essentially disrupting the flow of cargo, personnel, and talent. And Frank Chan-Fan, Secretary of Transport and Housing of Hong Kong, had this to say about the situation. Take a listen.
Hong Kong's international airport is the world's third largest aviation hub. Nearly 200,000 passengers pass through the airport every day. The economic benefits the passengers bring to Hong Kong are difficult to estimate. I must make it clear to everyone that Hong Kong International Airport is a very important international aviation hub and plays a very important role in the long-term development of the economy. Our freight is 5 million tons per year, making it the largest cargo airport in the world by volume. With the fierce competition in air transport across the region, we have only achieved this because of the hard work of the Hong Kong people. It could be easily lost, and reconstruction would be very difficult.
Professor Liu, let me start with you. What is the potential impact there?
Well, let's talk about the immediate impact, because over 1,000 flights are handled in this very important airport. It's really a transportation hub, both for passengers and also for cargo. So right now, it is the big loss for airlines, for the airports, and many of those bookings are cancelled. They need to be compensated. So these are really immediate loss. But the indirect one can be even more significant, because important business people will host meetings to make decisions where the entire supply chain are waiting for. And also that Hong Kong is really highly reliant on tourism, and now this is really sending a chill down the spine, because more of the foreign countries are issuing the traveler advisories to warn the travelers to Hong Kong.
That's right.
So, all these can add up to a significant negative impact on the Hong Kong economy, and also on the lives of people that are involved in Hong Kong.
Got it. Mr. Ho, the airport is the latest destination of the protesters, creating a more visible scene for people coming in and leaving Hong Kong. How severe is the situation?
I think the situation is really worrying. The protest has been for about 2 months. At the beginning, it has been a peaceful protest, but then we've seen more and more violent protests against police and also against other people who disagree with them. And in the recent days, they are blocking the airport. And I think we must ask these people, are you against the government, the police, or are they against the whole Hong Kong population or even the international travelers? because we have seen that many people are actually hijacked by them, and many people today, many tourists, they even if they have checked in luggages, they can't enter the gate and miss the flight, and this is causing a real damage to Hong Kong's reputation and economy.
Last Friday, Carrie Lam, the chief executive, referred to the ongoing unrest as an economic tsunami. Hong Kong, of course, has had its fair share of economic setbacks. Recent memory would remind us of the 2003 SARS outbreak and then the 2008 financial crisis. Professor Liu, what the protest is doing to the city, is it on par with these two?
Well, tsunami, it's a good analogy because Hong Kong has really enjoyed the high reputation of clean government and free marketplace, where the lifestyle has been busy but also very enjoyable. The per capita income in Hong Kong is even higher than that of the United States. So, but right now the disruption is going on, and even worse than that, we do not really see the end of it. So, can this be really escalating? And will the international communities, how will they respond to such a sort of situation, and how the mainland government is going to take further measures, etc. So these great uncertainties can also, they be sending quite a jittery signal to global investors and also to citizens over there. So the uncertainty is looming very large, gathering the dark clouds over there. So this is really a very painful situation. And
it's not just damage to the international image of Hong Kong as a financial center and a robust regional economic powerhouse. Its GDP figures, its GDP growth has been facing downward pressure. Hong Kong's GDP fell by 0.3% in the second quarter this year. And on top of that, Hong Kong stocks have plummeted by nearly $500 billion since June. Mr. Ho, what is happening to the Hong Kong economy?
Well, actually, Hong Kong's economy has been strong in the past few years, but in recent months we have seen trends of slowing down, mainly due to the US and China trade war and also other global factors. But what worries me is the recent protests and the riots have slowed down our economy much more quickly. For example, our retail industry, our tourism industry, and our catering industry. And these industries, many of the customers are from the mainland China, and we have seen a big drop in tourists in the recent weeks. 2 hours ago, I was walking at a street in Causeway Bay, and I was really surprised that there were very few people, very few vehicles, just look at midnight. So if this rise is going to sustain, I really worry that the economy is going to shrink in a very rapid pace.
Professor Liu, business sentiment certainly is down there, and as Mr. Ho mentioned there, customers' willingness to spend is also down there. Talk to us about what you think is happening to the Hong Kong economy. Where is the pressure coming from? Mr. Ho there mentioned the US-China trade war. Where is the pressure coming from that has added on to the instability at this time?
Well, fundamentally, some of the critics blame, mainland China's rise, particularly Shanghai as a financial hub and logistic hub, and Shenzhen, etc. They are in a rivalry position. They took many of the business opportunities from Hong Kong, but this is really wrong. Hong Kong has maintained very unique advantages as the freer port and also international hub of logistics, and also with high level of professional services, etc. So they could have really boosted the economy on a very steady track, but the damage can be really there to bring Hong Kong into, by definition, a recession, because if you have the decline of economic growth by second quarter and then third quarter, then yes, this is justifiable economic recession. But the issue is that what these processors really want and where are they going to lead to such sort of tension. So this is really something that is a mistake, and also that is really worrisome. And then, as the other guest mentioned, that there are very few shoppers over there. Hong Kong relies very much on tourism because they host more than 60 million tourists a year. And then, how those tourists are going to react, and how more importantly, other multinational headquarters are going to consider reallocation even to Singapore, to Shenzhen, or to Tokyo, etc. So that's going to be a very long-term and harsh damage to the Hong Kong economy.
Let's talk about the tourism sector a bit more. This is a pillar sector of the Hong Kong economy. And on Thursday, Hong Kong Commerce Secretary Edward Yao said tourist numbers plunged over 30% in the first week of August, with over 20 countries, including the U.S. and Australia, issuing travel advisories to Hong Kong. Mr. Ho, how severe is this a blow to the tourism sector in Hong Kong?
I think it affects many industries. First of all, retail, as I said, hotel industries, and the catering industries. I think we must note that, although Hong Kong is an international financial city, many of our grassroots labor, they are low-skilled labor, and many of them are engaged in these three industries. So I would say for the impact on economy, the grassroots people would be the worst hit, would be the hardest hit. So unless the protests, in particular the violent ones, be stopped as soon as possible, that will be a long-term damage to our economy and the livelihood of Hong Kong people.
We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask both of you, are there any steps that local businesses, the SAR government and the central government can do to stabilize the economy once the protest and the unrest is reined in and brought under control? Professor Liu, let me start with you.
Well, some people are getting impatient. They push the government to take more radical measures, both from the mainland and Hong Kong administration. But I do not think it's really advisable, because the whole world are really watching on how delicately and politically the issue is being handled in a very peaceful manner. So therefore, I think to make people to return to ration and realize, what life can be if this protest can really linger on and even escalate, and also to work more closely with the business community to advise people that employment and salaries are more important than simply dry protest.
All right, Mr. Ho, are there tangible measures that can be done to help with the economy? Are projects like the Belt and Road in the Greater Bay Area attractive projects to local people in terms of helping with the Hong Kong economy?
Well, I think I can provide short answers to your question. But obviously, the protests are losing popular support very rapidly. In particular, the damage to airport and disruption to underground trains, etc. So I understand the government is now proposing or thinking about the measures to boost the local economy, in particular the small and medium enterprises, which constitute a large proportion of the economy in Hong Kong. And so I think there will be more and more such measures, maybe tax relief and other supporting measures from the government. But I also really want to emphasize that the rule of law is very important for Hong Kong. And I really hope that the restoration of law and order can be done as soon as possible, and I hope the economy can pick up in the near future.
All right, we have yet to see the comprehensive impact to the Hong Kong economy from the protest and unrest. It's going to be a tough year for Hong Kong. I want to thank you both, Henry Ho, founder of the One Country, Two Systems Youth Forum, and Liu Baocheng from the University of International Business and Economics. Tomorrow we'll continue our series on Hong Kong in crisis, the road ahead. And after the break, with new tariffs looming, what's the prognosis for the China-U.S. trade war?